Hello, Henry from Belgium here. If you were a kid in 1996 with a soft spot for Lego and Western movies, you simply couldn't ignore Fort Legoredo. This massive set from the Cowboys theme is the flagship of the entire Western line. With 673 parts, including 10 minifigures, it's a bold statement. And it still is today. I bought this set on a secondhand site, not knowing if it's complete. I don't have the box, just the front cover, but luckily the original manual is included. A perfect project to build today and share with you all. Why do I have this set without the box? Simple. Finding complete sets with the box is tough, and if you do find one, it'll cost you. Especially on eBay, where the cardboard often seems to be worth more than the actual bricks. So when I came across this one at a very reasonable price, based on the value of the parts, not some inflated collector's price, I didn't hesitate for a second. For this particular sub-theme, it's all about the joy of building for me and the bigger picture. I'm planning to create a custom-built Western town using all the sets from this series and proudly display the whole thing as one big diorama. Will I ever go looking for the box? Who knows? Sure, it would be a great addition, especially since the artwork from this Western line really is beautiful. But for now, let's just say we'll see. Luckily, the manual is included. And that's a good thing, because this is quite a complex build. It's printed in that classic 90s format, handy size, full color, no step-by-step overload like we sometimes see today, just calm pages with clear drawings and well-paced instructions. The build is split into 4 sections, each on its own baseplate. Only at the end do you bring everything together to form the full fort. It's a very structured approach that keeps the whole process manageable and gives you a clear sense of progress. I really appreciate that. It also makes for a more enjoyable build. You can tackle it section by section, finish something in each phase, and easily take a break without getting stuck halfway through a giant wall. It's clear the designers cared not just about the final model, but also about the experience of building it. What makes this set stand out right away? The wall panels, of course. No fewer than 23 of them, each measuring 2 by 6 by 6. And you really don't see that often in a Lego set. They instantly give the whole thing that classic stacked log look, like you've stepped straight into a Western movie. John Wayne would approve. Fortunately, it's not just prefab panels. There are also plenty of modified bricks 1 by 2 and 1 by 4 with log profile. So you actually still get to build something. I quite like those bricks. I remember seeing them in the Ninja sets too, and they had the same rustic charm. You'll also find lots of classic parts. Rock panels, ladders, bushes, and a wide range of small elements. While building, I'll probably run into even more fun parts worth pointing out. But since I already own another set from this theme, many of the unique pieces are familiar to me. Think themed elements, printed bricks, oversized barrels, and of course, the flags. Now, about those flags. Technically, they're just white flagpoles with stickers. And here comes that classic second-hand moment. It still amazes me how many previous owners managed to mess up sticker placement completely. In this set too, one glorious example of a flag sticker proudly flying upside down. And yes, that means I'll be soaking it off with saint-like patience, trying not to damage it, and hoping to reapply it properly one day. But hey, that's a job for later. This set gives you a fantastic selection of parts, not just to build the fort, but also for all kinds of custom creations and alternate builds. And then there are the base plates, classic 16 by 32 studs, but in a rather unusual color, tan. That's a rare shade for baseplates, and this is the only set that gives you 4 of them in one go. I recognize the plate. I also have one in my diver set from 1997. Just a quick tip before you dive into this build: sort everything properly first. Otherwise, halfway through, you'll be digging and searching for that one specific piece, like you're panning for gold. This set has lots of brown parts. It's best to keep those separate. Set aside a tray for the bigger elements, group the other colors, and definitely pull out the minifigures and their gear in advance. Those are best sorted first, along with the horses and accessories. And that works out nicely, because I'm about to show you each of those minifigs one by one. This set includes 10 minifigures. At first glance, some of them might look similar, but there's actually a surprising amount of variety. Let's start with the Cavalry. 6 military figures in blue uniforms representing different ranks. There's a general, recognizable by his blue hat with an emblem, his torso with gold detailing, and his black legs. He looks like he walked straight off the set of a classic western. Then there are 2 colonels, easily identified by their gray beards and a slightly more dignified appearance. And finally, 3 regular soldiers, featuring a printed suspender torso and heads with a dark red mustache and beard pattern. Good old-fashioned bushy mustaches. You might think the remaining 4 are bandits, but that's not entirely true. On the far left, we see Prairie Pete, with a classic outlaw face and a black bandana. No doubt whose side he's on. Next to him is Deputy Zach, who actually belongs to the good guys. He's a deputy sheriff, which explains why he's the only one in the group with a friendly face. Second from the right is none other than Black Bart, a staple of the Lego Western theme and your archetypal outlaw. And all the way on the right is Dewey Cheatham, wearing a bright green torso printed with playing cards. A small detail I personally really like. They're great minifigs, though some reviewers have pointed out that the bandits look a bit too similar to figures from sets like Sheriff's Lockup and others from the same line. Still, the number and variety of cavalry figures more than makes up for it. You really do get a small army here. You also get 3 horses, 1 white, 1 brown, and 1 black. Fun detail: the brown one has black mane highlights, which you don't see that often. There are 2 saddles included, but I plan to build a little wagon later on, so the 3rd horse has a role too. And finally, there are plenty of weapons, and as a bonus, a trumpet. A rare accessory in Lego sets, and always fun to get. I start by laying out the 4 base plates, each 16 by 32 studs. That already gives you a sense of scale. You're not building a little house here, you're building an entire settlement. The build is divided into 4 segments: an entrance, 2 side wings, and the headquarters. I begin with the front, the part where the main entrance is located. It honestly feels a bit like I'm building a castle set. A base of 1 by 2 bricks, some sloped pieces, and then those wall panels. The usual recipe, just with a Western twist this time. There's a solid beam included to barricade the gate. And what makes me smile right away, the set includes ladders, something that was largely missing in a lot of castle or pirate sets from the 90s. This particular ladder design has been around since 1992. Also nice, they're black. Same goes for the big, impressive doors, one of my favorite elements. They're the door 1 by 5 by 10 with curved top, a piece that appears in only 9 sets in this size. It only exists in black and brown. I already had the brown version, but this is the first time I've come across it in black. And there are no less than 4 of them in this set. We'll be using 2 of those later on for one of the side sections. Just like in the castle sets, some plates go on top, so I can start building the first floor. What's fun is that you alternate between 1x2 and 2x4 bricks. It feels a bit more engaging than just stacking wall panels. In this section, the balance between wall panels and regular bricks is actually quite good. And those regular bricks, in this case, are the ones with the log pattern. I have to admit, they feel nice in the hand and are in surprisingly good condition. They're still remarkably glossy and show barely any signs of play wear. The plates, on the other hand, might need a proper cleaning. Seems I got a complimentary layer of 30-year-old dust with them. When looking at the full set photo, I had already noticed there were some nice decorative touches, and this is definitely one of them. These are the familiar parrots, but here they're left unpainted, serving as statues. I think that's a great little detail, especially in this beautiful shade of red. Further along in the build, I come across this beautiful sticker. Yes, a sticker, unfortunately, not a print. This one is placed across 2 1x6 bricks, which, back in the late 80s, was perfectly normal practice. You just have to be careful when taking the set apart. If you accidentally separate those 2 bricks, the sticker will tear right down the middle. Here I've got a black cone with quite an unusual shape. I hadn't seen this part before, and as it turns out, it's actually fairly rare. It appears in only 16 sets, and in black, just 7. It's used here to hold the flag, which unfortunately was stickered upside down. Finally, I attach the hinged roofs and take the opportunity to give the plates a quick clean. A toothbrush works wonders for that. Just don't scrub too hard. A bit of decoration here, a few minifigs there, and this section is officially done. And I have to say, it looks really good. Honestly, it could pass as a standalone set. Put it in a box, slap a logo on it, done. In this part, the key play feature is the ability to barricade the grand entrance, because you never know who's coming. The building experience was fun, with a few nice little surprises. The big barrels, for instance, absolutely great. They're not that common, and you can hide a minifig inside. Perfect for sneak attacks. The interior decor is, well, let's call it strategically empty. Like many sets from the early 90s, there's plenty of space, but not much going on. At least there are 2 ladders, so they tried. Still, if your minifigs want to reach the top, they'll have to climb the poles, which feels just a bit unfinished. The hinged roofs though, that part was genuinely well thought out. They make it much easier to place your minifigs and definitely boost the playability. They're also specifically designed to fold outward, which means you can drop barrels on your enemies. And just as I expected, finishing a part feels great. Time for a quick coffee break, and then on to the next section of the fort. Okay, I'm going to build the left side section now, and I have to admit, it looks a bit basic. The build starts here in a familiar way, a few 1x2 bricks, and then it's mostly a matter of carefully placing the wall panels. Finish it off with some plates, add a few more 1x2s, and voila, job done. To be honest, this section doesn't really feel like a standalone structure. It's more like a wall desperately waiting for the rest of the fort to show up. Although, back in the 80s, LEGO did release castle sets that were basically just a stretch of wall with a couple of minifigs, usually with a battering ram, or a random cart thrown in, just to give you something to play with. So truth be told, there isn't a whole lot to say about this part. What is well done though, are the arrow slits. They add a nice bit of atmosphere and give the impression of an actual defense. I've already seen that the other wall won't have those, so I appreciate their presence here all the more. As for the baseplate, it could have used a bit more excitement. There was definitely room for an extra wall panel, or why not a rock formation? But hey, the budget probably said nope, as was often the case with mid-90s sets. On the bright side, there's a ladder. But the way it's attached deserves a small comment. It's wedged under a plate at the top and squeezed between studs at the bottom. Tilting it? Forget it, it pops right off. One extra 1x2 plate would have solved it. That would have closed the gap between the wall panel and the plate, allowing the ladder to hang freely. And then you could actually fold it up, use it properly, and keep any unwanted outlaws at bay. I know, this is nitpicking at its finest, but analyzing these little details and overthinking every step, that's exactly what makes it so much fun for me. It's not like those little remarks make me dislike the set. Just look at the great result we've got so far. Next up, the right side of the fort. Once again, the build starts off in familiar territory. The base structure is almost identical to what I already put together for the front section. Same beam, same black gates, and yes, the ever-watchful parrot statues are back. Luckily, there's still cool other stuff to discover, and I actually enjoy building this part. I also like the rock panel, the so-called burp, that many collectors love to hate. Here it works well. It's integrated into the wooden structure and gives it a more weathered, lived-in look. There's also a tower to build, with some fun decorative touches, 2 flames and a flag. And yes, there's a pretty clever play feature too. At the front, a minifig with a stick of dynamite is supposed to blow up part of the rock and uncover a stash of golden coins. Classic Western fun. Okay, there is a ladder, but for the rest, once again, plenty of space, and absolutely no decoration. But this time, I won't complain. I promised myself I'd stay positive. I do really like this section, but I do have one comment. If you hold the base plate like this, which, to be fair, you're probably not supposed to, you'll notice that the gate structure isn't all that stable. It's only anchored at the bottom, and that makes it feel a bit fragile. 2 arch bricks or some sort of top connector could have easily solved this and added some much-needed sturdiness. Sure, I'm fine with it looking a bit unfinished or battle damaged, but this feels more like a structural oversight than deliberate charm. That said, the result is still solid. It connects nicely with the rest of the fort, and the whole thing is really starting to come together. You're not even required to use all 4 sections. You can easily combine just 2 different parts, and that alone already makes this set well worth it. And now, it's time for the final section. I start again with similar parts, but the structure is noticeably different, and that's a good thing. I'm immediately building the first play feature, a suitcase containing a rifle, which gets placed inside a hidden compartment. There are also some great parts in here, like this prison door and its frame. I mostly remember seeing it in black with a gray door, but here it's the other way around. And also this staircase is great, and one of my favorite elements. It only appears in a handful of sets. These types of doors are also nice to see again. They're very classic. They mostly appear in yellow and red. Black versions are also only found in a few sets. And what definitely makes this worth it is building several fun play features, especially the one I'm working on now. It's the absolute highlight, because you have to assemble a well-designed mechanism. The idea is to create 2 trapdoors, and for that, I'm using parts I hadn't seen before. On top of those, you place cozy little seats where you can position the minifigures who are playing a card game. By turning the table, the villain drops straight into the jail cell. Turn it the other way, and the opponent falls into the hallway below. It's a really clever design, and it massively boosts the play value. And then there's also a secret compartment with coins hidden inside. I place it neatly in position, and around it, I'll be building an entire rocky structure. The whole thing ends up functioning as a kind of sliding secret feature, hidden behind the fireplace. Now I'm finishing up the entire upper floor. I'm surprised by how many parts are packed into this section. There's a lot of variety. Not your usual stack of basic bricks either. It's more like a puzzle. And yes, it's definitely challenging at times. Along the way, I notice I've made a few mistakes, but that's exactly why the whole building process feels so well balanced. It starts off moderate, flows into something easier with the two walls, and then ends with the headquarters, which actually makes you think here and there. I finish things off by assembling the roof, just like in the first section, with hinges so you can easily access the minifigures during play, or more importantly, to launch barrels at anything that moves. It really looks great. A bit of decoration here and there, but mainly packed with play features, and a building that absolutely holds its own. The mix of colors works well too, and I especially love the wood texture. It adds so much character. And yes, there's even a little cart to build, complete with a working cannon. That alone is the kind of play feature that puts a big smile on your face, no matter your age. Personally, the headquarters was my favorite part to build. It truly lives up to expectations, and to be honest, so does the entire fort. With a few extra 2x1 bricks, you can neatly connect all 4 sections. No hinge system like in the old castle sets, but honestly, that doesn't bother me at all. On the contrary, I see it as a plus. You can take everything apart and rearrange it however you like. Total creative freedom. I've shared plenty of thoughts throughout this video, and the few minor criticisms I mentioned earlier completely fade away once you see the final result. Great for hours of imaginative play, and an absolute showpiece in my collection. Let me know what you think of this set in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It is free. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.